Hi everyone, my name is Theo and I am the person behind The Homely Knitter both here and on Instagram. I'm realizing I've never told you guys that I have an Instagram, but I do. It's the same username as here. I'll put it on the screen somewhere over in this general vicinity. And today is episode 2 of my knitting podcast. We're gonna look at my WIPs, my FOs, and books that I've currently read and am reading, along with things like the fact that I'm moving to university in a few weeks. So, just a disclaimer, I already filmed this entire knitting podcast on my video camera, and then my SD card crashed. So I had 45 minutes of footage and it all disappeared. So if I seem a little less enthusiastic, that's why. But I hope that you guys are having a great day and that you are able to get a hot beverage or a cold beverage, depending on where you are. It's still technically too hot for tea, but I don't care. So I'm drinking this peppermint tea from Trader Joe's out of my Fuck Transphobia mug. It's a lovely mug. I got it from my friend Fish for my birthday. Also, please ignore my background. It's atrocious and I know it is, but I'm currently sleeping in the office at my house instead of my bedroom because my mom's boyfriend and his 7-year-old moved in and we've given her my bedroom because I'm moving in 3 weeks. So there's my wardrobe and exercise equipment, which is not mine, and it's got a bunch of stuff hanging on it. Ignore it. Focus on me instead. So get yourself something to drink, maybe something to eat, and come on in for the ride. So the first thing that I want to look at are my works in progress. So this first WIP is one which you've seen already, and it is the Sand Grain Slipover, which is this beautiful cable vest. And this is it. It's made more progress since the last time you've seen it. It has a front, and I'm on the moss stitch for the front as well. I believe that's what this is called, is moss stitch. I enjoy it. I like the texture of it. I think it's gorgeous. This is the back, and this is the front. So I'm at the moss stitch portion, which is these increases here on the side that will result in this piece being joined in the round. This was my main WIP for a while, but I have set it to the side briefly just because like I said, I've just moved back home and I needed something a bit easier to work on for a little while I get everything in my life sorted. So my other next WIP is this beret. So I've been making berets for my shop, which I'm going to be opening in hopefully about 2 weeks, maybe earlier if I'm able to. This is gray. It's knit with Paxton's worsted weight wool. It's 100% wool. I got it from Michael's. I had this for a different project that I never ended up doing like a year ago. And so this is what I've knit this beret with. I haven't even woven in the ends. I crocheted actually. And it's going to have little ghost appliques on it, but it just sits kind of on the back of your head, and I'm obsessed with it. I think it's really stinking cute. And those are my, oh, and then I have another WIP actually, which is sat right here. So this is quite exciting. It is a cardigan. This is the first sleeve. It looks like this. I don't know if you can really tell. It's gonna have a drop shoulder. It's got a balloon sleeve. I finished the sleeve last night. Took me probably 3 hours in total. And then I'm working on the second sleeve right now. It's being knit in Drops Andes, which is a warm blend of superfine alpaca and Peruvian wool. I believe it's 65% Peruvian Highland wool. And 65% Peruvian Highland wool, 35% alpaca. It says it here on the label. It's for a 9mm needle. I am using an 8mm needle for the main sleeve, and I used a 6.5mm needle, which I've actually got right here, for the ribbing. And that is because in the United States, we don't have 7mm needles. It's super obnoxious and I don't know why, but our sizing goes 6.5mm and then 8. We don't have 7mm. I can't find it anywhere and I hate it because I have a lot of stuff that I could knit in 7, but I don't have 7, so you could say I'm worried about needing gauge, but that would imply that I knit gauge swatches. I know I should, but I don't. So let's move on to my FOs. My first 2 are the exact same thing, so I'm just going to show you one of them, and they are also berets. These are brown berets with little pumpkin appliques on them. So the main body of the beret itself is knit in shepherd's wool, which is the brand. It is a brand in Michigan, about 3 hours from where I live actually. Everything, the sheep are sheared and then the wool is spun and dyed all in the same farm. It's super nice. It's about $15 a skein, so it's expensive. It's pricey. I knit a sweater with it last year for my dad for Christmas, and so I just have a bunch of it left over. So like I said, I just have a bunch of it left over and I'm trying to finish it up. I had a skein of brown that I wound. I have a skein of gray. I have a little bit of green and a little bit of yellow, but it's all beautiful. It's very soft. It's a very nice wool. And then the pumpkin appliques are knit with superwash merino that I bought just at a local yarn store. And this is the beret. Now, I'm obsessed with it. This is just what it looks like on the inside because I have to stitch it down. Ooh, I have to weave in that end. That's embarrassing. But this is what it looks like. Once again, it would just sit kind of at the back of your head, so it's not one of those full frontal berets. I don't particularly enjoy the look of those, but this I think is super cute. And I've just got another one here. That's what this is. I'm gonna knit 2 of the gray ones. I have these 2 here, and then I think I'm gonna knit a white one. I have this really nice off-white superwash merino that I think I'm gonna do, and then I'm gonna take either this or some black yarn that I have and make little bats. And I'm gonna do probably just the 6 berries in total, just to see if they'll even sell, because this would be for the opening of my shop. This cardigan that I'm knitting is also going to be for sale. And it's going to, once it's finished, it's an all black cardigan, but it's going to have little ghost and pumpkin appliques sewn all over it. It's gonna be super cute, and I'm super excited for it. And then my final FO is another beret, but this one isn't for sale. It's for my friend, and it's pink. It's knit with a 75% acrylic, 25 wool blend. It was on sale at my yarn store for like $3. And it has these little puffy flowers on them. It was quite funny. I had just the one puffy flower on it at first, and I sent a picture of it to a different person, and she thought that I was making a nipple. I am not. It's super cute. It's like really big because I made it bigger than I had to because I was really worried that it wouldn't fit their head, and I was gonna be super embarrassed if it didn't. So I'd much rather have this be super obnoxiously oversized than not fit their head at all. So that is that. Those are my FOs and my WIPs. Now, I have this sweater. This is sweater number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I started this almost a year ago. I have the entire body finished, and it's just the sleeves, and I'm gonna frog it. So first off, this is what it looks like. It is a top-down raglan construction sweater. As you can see, I started this sleeve. I haven't started this one. Now, things about this sweater. The material that I use to knit it, I don't like. It is an acrylic from Michaels. Nothing wrong with acrylic, but in terms of sweaters, I'm not a huge fan. It's itchy. It's itchy. Specifically this acrylic. I don't have the tag for it anymore. It's itchy. I don't like it. I also don't think I have enough yarn to like finish the sleeves anyway. I also made the neck too high, and it looks dumb on me. I could double fold it over. You're correct, but I just don't enjoy it. Yeah, me and the sweater just don't really, we're not best friends really anymore. And so I also, now you're probably wondering, Theo, all you have to do are the sleeves. Why don't you just do them? Don't you have notes? I do have notes because I take notes when I knit. And the last time I worked on this sweater was during a battle sequence in a D&D campaign that I'm in. I like to knit during battle sequences because they take forever. And I found my notes a few months later when I picked up this sweater and thought, maybe I should finish it. And I could not tell you anything about those notes. They make no sense to me anymore. And I don't know. I don't like that the ribbing here is so short. I don't like the bind off that I did. There's just a lot of things about this sweater that I don't like that I could do better, and I'm not going to, and I'm just gonna frog it, and I will either donate the yarn or figure out something else to do with it. This sweater taught me a lot. It was my first ever raglan construction. It was really fun to knit, but at the end of the day, it's not something I'm gonna use. It's not something I'm gonna wear. I don't like it. So that's sweater number 9. Now I have another My Favorite Things Knitwear. It's vest number 1. This was the first vest I ever knit myself. It was the first knitting project garment that I ever finished properly. That was for me. And I didn't block it properly. It's too short. Once again, I like stuff long enough to tuck in, and this vest, see, this shirt is like tucked in. This vest hits like right here. It's not long enough to tuck in, and it's not blocked properly, so it's like uneven, kind of around the back. It always pops out, and the neckline is too tight, and I like the vest. But what I think I'm going to do is at some point re-knit it, not with the same yarn, probably with a nice wool, and I'm going to maybe do that this fall or winter. But as you will hear in a moment, I already have some patterns pre-planned out that I would like to knit this fall and winter, so we're actually going to hop into that right now. All right, so I've got my handy dandy bullet journal ready with my fall and early winter WIPs that I want to make, or just projects that I want to make. So I'm saying fall and early winter because I'm moving not only to university but out of the country for university, and I have a feeling that knitting is not necessarily going to be able to be my main priority, but these are things that I would love to make while it is cold. So the first thing I want to make, I purchased the pattern for on Wednesday, and that is the Ingrid Sweater. So I believe Well Loved Knits, Bethany from Well Loved Knits, just made the Ingrid Sweater Baby, which is where I first saw the pattern, but it didn't register to me that there was an adult version until I saw it on Popsicle Frog's channel. And it's gorgeous. So I really want to make it, but I hate the neckline. I hate the collar. I don't hate it, that's a lie, but I don't like it for myself. I don't really like really high-necked things. I don't think they look very nice on me. So I think I'm going to do the same thing that Popsicle Frog did when she talked about it in her most recent knitting vlog, and also I think she talked about it in the knitting vlog she made of making the Ingrid Sweater, which is make a 2x2 rib double folded over collar. So it'll be a smaller collar that goes around the neckline rather than more of a turtleneck. I'm super excited though. It's beautiful. I think I'm going to knit it in a brown. I really like the color brown, but I don't want it to be a brown that's so dark it eats the pattern up, like you can't really see it. So I think I'm gonna do a brown sort of like this, not in the shepherd's wool because that's expensive, but probably honestly in the superwash merino or in drops. I'll look around. If you have any yarn suggestions, please let me know. But that's the first pattern. I bought it. It's a really long pattern. It's about 18 pages, and I was very freaked out at first when I saw that, until I realized A, part of it is charts. Charts take up space. But B, she has a whole glossary at the beginning of this pattern. I've never purchased a Petite Knits pattern. Also, it's a pattern by Petite Knit. I don't think I mentioned that. And I've never worked on one of her patterns before, even though I see them all the time. I always think they're gorgeous. I've never knit one before. So that's what we're doing, is we're knitting the Ingrid Sweater by Petite Knit. I'm really excited. The next one that I wrote is the Sand Grain Slipover, simply because A, it's a fall winter piece, and B, I think it's going to take a while. I think it's going to take a while, if I'm being totally honest. So we're counting it as a fall winter piece, and that's okay. Another thing that I'm going to work on is a pattern that I bought back at the beginning of the summer with the intent to knit it while I was in DC. This was before I realized it was going to be 100 degrees every day in DC. And as such, I did not knit this. I did not want to be working with large amounts of wool. And that is the Ozetta Field Day Jacket. This is a cardigan. It has a drop shoulder construction. I believe it might even be a raglan piece. And I'm super excited to work with it. So I don't own a cardigan that really works for me right now. I have an Amazon Basics cardigan that I bought for cosplay, and it's like fine, but I don't really like it. I wish it was longer. This is a drop shoulder construction, which I like, but it's not super big. It's similar to a Well Loved Knits pattern. No, a My Favorite Things knitwear pattern. It's similar to one of her cardigans. I don't know which one, but I'm excited for it because I've found that a lot of cardigans, I'm as a trans person, as a trans masc person, tend to be knit for AFAB bodies in a way that hug curves and things that I don't want hugged. And so I'm excited for this cardigan because it's slightly oversized and I think it will give me the silhouette that I would like. I'm thinking I will knit this either in a mauve or a brown or even like a dark green. I don't know yet, but I'm gonna have to figure that out. If you have any color suggestions, let me know. I tend to wear mostly neutrals. If I'm being totally honest, those are more my thing. I'm not a huge pop of color person. I don't like it on myself. I love it on other people, not for me. And then the last thing I want to knit are the house socks by Pearl Soho. This is a free pattern that was recommended to me on Google. It was just one of those clickbait article things and I clicked on it and I'm thrilled. It's a thicker sock and it is toe up. All of the socks I've ever knit have been from the top down, never from the toe up. So that's quite exciting. I think you have to use DPNs in that case. And it's got a bit of a faux cable type thing going. They might be real cables, I don't remember. They're super cute. I will link all of these patterns in the description below, by the way. But it's super cute. It goes up to like an American shoe size 10, I think, in women's. And I'm a 9. So I think I would knit either a medium or large. I've been knitting a size small though in all of my stone knit socks. So I will figure that out. But I'm super excited. They're super cute and I think they're gonna be lovely for in the winter because I'm moving to the UK where it's notoriously cold all of the time. And having some nice hand knit thick socks wouldn't hurt. I also have the Magic Toadstool socks by Stone Knits. I bought them a while ago, the pattern that is, with the intent to knit them up once again over the summer. But I think I'm gonna knit them for my best friend Reed. We will see. I think he would really enjoy them though. So that's not in my plan, but plans can and do change and evolve and grow. So maybe I will knit them, those socks, during the early fall and winter, or fall and early winter. We'll see. But those are my projects that I would love to make in the fall and winter. Like I said, I own all the patterns, but I'm still looking at fibers and colors and things like that. And if you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them. Please help me out. Also, remember, I am on a budget. So, this last section is going to be books that I've recently read and books that I'm currently reading, of which in total there are 3. 1 that I've read and 2 more that I am currently reading. The first of which is A Little Life by Hanya Yanigahara. A lot of people do not like this book. A lot of people are going to be upset with how I feel about this book, which is that it is one of the best works of literature I have ever read in my entire life. I have a whole bit about it in the next clip, which I filmed right as my camera crashed, so I'm not really going to get into it here, but I do want to say I'm currently very healthy mentally. I have had periods in the past where I have not been, where I have been incredibly unwell mentally. You should be fairly stable mentally while reading this book. I'd recommend you look up spoilers. I don't think I would have been able to read this book in the way that I did if I did not know the large events that were going to happen. And I think that aided in my enjoyment of the novel, I think that that aided in my ability to appreciate it for what it was, because sometimes it's okay to know the destination and still go on the journey. And I think this is a book where you need to know the destination and the pretty large pit stops. In terms of mental health, it deals with self-harm, it deals with suicidal ideation and attempts. Make sure you're okay before you read this. I think you need to check in with yourself before you read it, and I think if you do choose to read it, you will go on a journey that is wonderful. Alright, something just happened with my camera. I don't know what. I hope I didn't just lose like 45 minutes I filmed, but we're gonna continue filming on my cell phone. So like I was saying, I'm just gonna reread this quote because I think I lost the footage of it. They are quiet for a long time, and he thinks of what he needs to say, what he has always thought but never articulated. I know this is going to sound illogical to you, he tells Willem, who looks back at him, but even all these years later, I still can't think of myself as disabled. I mean, I know I am. I have been for twice as long as I haven't been. It's the only way you've known me, as someone who needs help. But I remember myself as someone who used to be able to walk whenever he wanted to, as someone who used to be able to run. I think every person who becomes disabled thinks they were robbed of something. But I suppose I've always felt that if I acknowledge that I am disabled, then I'll have conceded to Dr. Trailer, then I'll have let Dr. Trailer determine the shape of my life. And so I pretend I'm not. So that last bit about Dr. Trailer I can't talk about because it's a huge spoiler. But that quote, I mean, I read that quote and I don't think that's the first time I've ever felt disability the way I have felt about disability, because there are days where I wake up and I think maybe I'm not disabled, and I do things at the pace of an able-bodied person, and I get so sick afterwards and I have to lie down and I can't do anything for days afterwards. And it sucks, and I think a lot of people expect us to be inspirations, and we have all this talk about how much disability sucks, you know, within the disability community, and it's not really something that we can talk about openly, because if we do, then everyone gets mad at us for not being like perfect little inspirations for them in their lives, and like, but you did it anyway. And it's like, yes, I did do it anyway, but it was so much harder for me, and sometimes I would just like to be allowed to say that it sucks. So I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the portrayal of disability. I cried at the end because of course I did. I was like actively in the library, and I just was like, this little girl was like at the library with her dad, and I'm like sat there like and like she's like running around giggling, and I was like, I hope nobody in this library like comes up and asks me if I'm okay, because right now I'm not. I really liked it. That's my unpopular opinion, is I really enjoyed this book, and while this book is filled with sadness and misery and anger, this book is also filled with joy. So much joy. So much like unequivocal joy, and I think that it's really important to understand that this book is about a person who never gets better, who never fully heals from his trauma and experiences joy despite that. So this was my book over the summer. It took me a really long time to read it. But this is it. I'm actually lending it out to my friend Ty. We're doing a little book exchange. Basically, I'm giving him this book and he has to annotate it back as he reads it, and he's giving me his copy of Six of Crows. I'm excited. We're gonna meet up in Liverpool and exchange books. So these next two books are books that I'm currently reading. So first we have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, a novel by Ocean Vuong. This is the blurb. On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is a letter from a son to a mother who cannot read. Written when the speaker, Little Dog, is in his late 20s, the letter unearths a family's history that began before he was born, a history whose epicenter is rooted in Vietnam. At once a witness to the fraught yet undeniable love between a single mother and her son, it is also a brutally honest exploration of race, class, masculinity, and our current American moment, immersed as we are in addiction, violence, and trauma, but undergirded by compassion and tenderness. The question of how to survive and how to make of it a joy powers the most important debut novel of many years. So this is Ocean Vuong's debut novel. I'm pretty sure he already had published poetry, but this was his first proper novel. It came out, when was the copyright? It was quite recent. I think, copyright 2019, so yeah, about 3 years ago now. And I'm not very far in at all. I am 44 pages in, but my god, this book has some beautiful parts. Beautiful in the prose, not necessarily in the contents. I'm enjoying it. I'm taking it slow because there's a lot of things I have to look up, and also it's just kind of heavy. So On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is one I'm currently reading, and then this is my other current read, The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. So the blurb on this is, The Glass Castle is a remarkable memoir of resilience and redemption, and a revelatory look into a family at once deeply dysfunctional and uniquely vibrant. When sober, Jeanette's brilliant and charismatic father captured his children's imagination, teaching them physics, geology, and how to embrace life fearlessly. But when he drank, he was dishonest and destructive. Her mother was a free spirit who abhorred the idea of domesticity and didn't want the responsibility of raising a family. The Walls children learned to take care of themselves. They fed, clothed, and protected one another, and eventually found their way to New York. Their parents followed them, choosing to be homeless even as their children prospered. The Glass Castle is truly astonishing, a memoir permeated by the intense love of a peculiar but loyal family. So, I picked this book up when I was in Boston visiting my friend Sophie. Over by Harvard, is where we were, and I picked this up out of a little free book thing, and I started reading it on the bus, and I didn't realize it was a memoir. I just had heard of it, and I started it, and then Sophie mentioned to me that it was a memoir, and I was like, oh my god. So that was this book. I'm 100 pages in. It's sad. That's it for episode 2. Thank you guys so much for coming and sitting here with me and enjoying your day that you've given to me. I'm thinking I'm gonna try and do these once a month-ish. Let me know how you feel about that. Just because every other week, that's a lot. For a knitting podcast, that's a lot in my book for my schedule. I know some people are able to. I am not one of those people. So thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you the next time I put out a video. Bye!